part of graduation because you honored the first president, just like you do in Washington. But the reason it's not entirely impossible that he's under the Washington Monument in DC is this is the third place he was buried. He kept getting dug up and moved around the campus. He was in the old Chapel Hill Cemetery, he was over by New West, and then he was moved here. The dialectic and philanthropic societies, the oldest fraternities on campus, do not allow their members to walk on the lawn because they don't know where the bodies are buried. And they're right. There are a lot of bodies on this campus that you don't know where they are. But so that was my object lesson. We're almost all Carolina grads, and yet a monument that's a grave that we all pass daily, we don't know what it is.
So do you have any adjunct professor?
We know it's interested in Richmond, Virginia, where I live. There's a Confederate cemetery called Hollywood Cemetery, and there's a black pyramid under which Confederate bodies are buried, all around it. And it's a black pyramid right in the middle of the cemetery.
And has there ever been any discussion of that? Like when the statue of, was it Arthur Ashe, was put up in Richmond?
On Monument, at the back of the bus of Monument Avenue. But the thing about that is, why not chart your own course? You know, here's a monument. Monument Avenue is a Parisian avenue in Richmond, Virginia. Very nice architecture, residential architecture there. All Confederate monuments, all up and down, all up and down.
Until you get to Arthur Ashe.
Until you get to Arthur Ashe, where his brothers insisted that his monument be. I mean, there are lots of wonderful places where the monument could be, and chart your own course and define your own conversation. But they thought that the most prestigious place to put it would be there.
In the company
and
of
so then there's a
Confederates.
sign that says, just before you get to the monument, the historic district stops here, and the monument is over here.
So,
And it's not all that great of a sculpture either.
and of course, if you think of the context, I mean, that is the big question, is who gets to remember how people are remembered? And when you are remembered, what is remembered about you, right? Putting Arthur Ashe in the context of Confederate soldiers, what does that mean
What does that
about
mean?
him, and what does it mean about Confederate soldiers?
And they all came for the unveiling with their gray suits, and the women with their hoop skirts, and they were protesting.
And how much more they would have protested had it been Gabriel, who was celebrated for being a revolutionary, as they felt they were, and he would have been in many ways much more appropriate a person to put in that context. Gabriel, who led the rebellion in 1800 in Richmond.
In August.
Well, we have the same issue here. Some of you, most of you were not here when Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard was made out of Airport Road. And that was a highly controversial